a true moment in our sport. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Don Callis.
Ladies and gentlemen, what you are about to witness is greatness. Walk this aisle. What you're about to witness is the greatest athlete alive and the greatest professional wrestler in the history of the industry. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, he is your AEW World Champion and the soon-to-be Impact Wrestling World Champion. Gotch, Hackenschmidt, Flair, Hogan are all insects in the shadow of the giant of professional wrestling, the god of pro wrestling from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, Kenny by God Omega!
An obnoxiously decorated 20-plus year career where this athlete has collected nearly 40 championships around the globe. He has held the most prestigious titles in Japan, in the United States, all across Europe. He is the master of the one-winged angel. The man that will face Rich Swann on April 25th at Rebellion. Many regard him as pound for pound, the best wrestler in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Kenny Omega. D'Lo, your initial thoughts?
My initial thoughts are, this man is impressive. He has all the accolades. You laid them all out there. You listed them, and listed them. And Kenny Omega is absolutely one of the best wrestlers in the world. But you know what? My dollar, my buck is on the Impact World Champion, Rich Swann. I think he is one of the best wrestlers in the world. And I can't wait for those two to hook it up. Hell, I can't wait for those two to hook it up any minute now.
I don't think anyone is arguing that Rich Swann is one of the best. He's the unified Impact World Champion, so whether you agree with it or not, the facts that Richie Two Belts is the best are staring you right in the face. That, to me, is the story here, because Kenny Omega and all of his fans around the world refuse to believe that anyone can come close. If anyone can, if anyone has the opportunity, it's Rich Swann.
Feel the tension in this room right now. You can feel it. You can cut it with a knife.
So, D'Lo, I'm expecting Kenny and Rich to set the pace here. All right, I want to see what kind of Kenny comes out, because Don Callis has been doing a lot of mind games, and here we go.
Well, obviously
right
someone's
away.
setting the pace. Look at this. And Omega goes right after Swann.
Look, the ring clears out, and we are left with Kenny Omega and Rich Swann. A relentless Kenny Omega, but Rich Swann rising back up to his feet. Kenny meets him with a big right hand.
Wow, Kenny's getting the early advantage here.
Brutal.
Look at this, he's just driving those forms to no!
Yeah, here comes Rich, though.
There's
Not
Rich.
to be outdone.
There's Rich firing back right now.
D'Lo, I think Rich wants this to be a fight.
Damn good, brothers. Oh, Kenny about to dive out. But
And just like that,
Rich got out the way.
miscommunication. Rich Swann taking advantage. It could all be unraveling for the
Edwards
Good
dive.
Brothers and Kenny Omega, and it could all be coming together for Impact.
Willie Mack up top. Watch out, here comes Rich Swann. My goodness.
The champ takes out Kenny Omega. Could this be the picture in just over 2 weeks? We'll find out. Impact's not done yet. Welcome back to Impact Wrestling. This, our main event. Willie Mack, Eddie Edwards, and the Impact Unified Champion Rich Swann against the Good Brothers and All Elite Wrestling Champion Kenny Omega.
And throughout the break, the team of Swann and Edwards and Willie Mack were just taking control, and it's just rolling right through. Look at this combination offense. Oh,
nicely done there by the champ. These three men united under the Impact banner. Just a 2 count there. It's Carl Anderson, a 20-year veteran, 20 titles, a 4-time IWGP Tag Team Champion. It's the #1 tag titles in Japan, and now in an Impact ring and not wearing the Impact Tag Team titles.
And you know that bothers the Good Brothers. You know that's part of what makes them so angry right now, is they're no longer the Impact World Tag Team Champions, so they're taking it out on Eddie Edwards.
Here comes 6 feet 8 inches and nearly 300 pounds of Good Brother. And you hear that term all the time, and D-Lo, I think that's one of the worst things in wrestling. To Good Brothers, someone is to fool them, and I don't want to do that. On top of that, I think the Good Brothers constantly promote, overuse of alcohol and that lifestyle, and that can't be good. There's a 9-year-old kid watching somewhere. I don't want him looking up to these guys.
You may not want him looking up to him, but you know what? When they get in the ring, they are damn good, and that's what you want people to see. That's what you want people representing who you are.
And to that 9-year-old kid that loves Kenny Omega, man, hang on, cover here. There's nothing that I can say about Kenny Omega that's negative, just outside of his attitude and his association with Don Callis. Because beyond that, Kenny Omega is everything pro wrestling should be and everything wrestling's gonna be in the future.
What are you talking about? Kenny Omega is an arrogant punk who's trying to impose his will. He's an ass. That's what he is. Come on.
Yeah, but D-Lo, who's better?
Well, we're gonna find out who's better at Rebellion. But for right now, I'm just telling you, I don't like Kenny Omega. I'm starting to not like the Good Brothers, and I damn sure don't like Don Callis right now.
And I shall tread lightly as the Good Brothers and Kenny Omega taking out their frustrations on Eddie Edwards. And I hear you, man. Look, I tried. The first few times I called Kenny Omega matches, I tried to, make cool hockey player references or endear myself to his fan base, and I just realized that you just have to appreciate Kenny for what he is, and if his fan base doesn't want to let other people in, then that's on them. There's a lot of pro wrestling to go around.
There's a lot of pro wrestling to go around, and yes, you don't have to admire Kenny Omega. You don't have to like him. You do have to say, oh, look at Eddie fighting out of the corner. Nice. Eddie setting up in the second row. Nice drop kick. Fells the big LG. Oh!
Yeah, big old Tree Rollins is down, and Eddie Edwards, we talked about it. He was cutting his teeth in Japan way before all these guys. He doesn't throw it around and walk around as if he's better. He proves it every night in the ring. Tag made. Here comes Willie Mack. Here comes Carl Anderson.
Did you hear that clothesline? Jumping back elbow by Willie Mack on fire. Classic body slam.
A lot of people are saying that there's a rub for Willie and Eddie and Rich to be in there with the brothers and Omega. I think it's the other way around. I think it gives some grit and some honesty to the Good Brothers and Kenny. They wear their Japan stuff on their sleeve. They write their names and, katakana, kanji, whatever it is. They need to have some grit in order to succeed here in Impact.
Oh, look, Willie was going for the moonsault and Kenny came in, but Willie caught Kenny, and now we've seen Willie do this in the past. He's gonna hit it. He's gonna hit the moonsault.
Give him the rub, Willie. Give him the rub. I believe Carl is still legal there.
Carl's definitely still legal right there. And
so smart there by Doc. All he had to do was distract Willie Mack.
And that's what makes the Good Brothers such great tag team wrestlers. Eddie tried to go for the leg there. Oh, look at the power in these overhand right-hand fists.
Now you can feel things really shifting. You can see cover there, forearm in the jaw, not enough. Kenny Omega getting his breath, reaching for a tag. Ladies and gentlemen, we're taking our final commercial break. When we come back, we'll have the end to this main event. Welcome back to Impact Wrestling. No more commercial breaks. The conclusion of this main event will be seen right here on a night where we move back home to Thursday's cover. Deep elbow, great Muta style, but not enough by All Elite Wrestling champion Kenny Omega.
Yeah, Kenny Omega has been imposing his will, and throughout the break, the Good Brothers and Omega have been really isolating Willie Mack and just inflicting some damage on Big Chocolate Thunder there.
Carl Anderson, he's got some nicknames. All three of these guys have nicknames for each other. You know, they use like cool little Japanese slang, or they change their social media name to Japanese letters. It's a bit nauseating after a while, Dave.
Well, they're trying to wear their Japanese isms on their shoulders and on their sleeves, and they want to show the world how proud they are. But right there, Willie Mack showed he's not done yet. He's not down without a fight, and Willie Mack is looking over. Can he make the tag is the question.
I think the stark difference between guys like Mack, Edwards, and Swann, the brothers, and Kenny is that on the Impact side, they're okay with letting their actions speak for themselves. But on the other side, it's all about look at me and social perception.
Right there, Rick, you see Willie couldn't get completely over to make a tag, and now the big LG's back in. Put Willie Mack as far away from his corner as he possibly could be.
Looking at the six-man match as a whole, the brothers and Kenny have an advantage, right? They have Gallows, he's the biggest guy in the match. They have Kenny, he's pound for pound, arguably the best wrestler in the world. I'm sure Rich Swann and others have something to say about it. And then the X Factor's old HK there, handsome Carl Anderson, as he likes to call himself.
Well, and the one thing you're missing is all the experience these three have together in Japan, working in trios and working in 4- and 8-man. So they know how to be in there together as a team. But look at those heavy hands by Willie Mack, met by a big old boot.
D'Lo, I guess purposefully avoided it just because of the taste it leaves in my mouth, but we can't ignore Don Callis. We can't ignore Don Callis, how some have feel he's turned his back on Impact, a place he helped build back to where we are today, as well as the mental games that he's been playing with Rich Swann, shouting, "One-winged angel, one-winged angel, one-winged angel," hoping that can crack Rich Swann. Can it?
You know, I don't know if it'll crack Rich Swann. It's something that Rich has to think about. I mean, the one-wing angel is one of the most devastating moves ever created. Oh my goodness.
Don has alluded to the fact that he and Kenny have had this planned for years, ever since the first time Don sat down and put on the headsets. And if that's the case, A, it's brilliant, but B, it's sick.
Yeah, but the thing is, you can't serve two masters. And right now, Don Callis can't serve Impact Wrestling and Kenny Omega. So right now, it feels like Don Callis is all in with Kenny Omega.
Let's talk about this one-winged angel. Let's talk about all the different ways that Kenny Omega can get a smaller opponent into the hold. And what are the counters? Because once you're up on the shoulder and Kenny takes the leg off, to me, that's kind of like once the alligator starts its roll, you're done. Yeah,
I mean, once Kenny gets you up in that electric chair and he gets the one leg off and he hooks your head down, it's kind of the only way you're going is down. You've got to be able to counter that long before you get to that point, because at that point, it's all she wrote.
You know, and think about all the different ways. I mean, even a basic thing like a leapfrog. Kenny can catch a guy and switch him. Or if someone picks him up for a body slam, Kenny can manipulate that. How much of Rich Swann's offense becomes almost a detriment to the champion Rich Swann on April 25th?
A ton of it. You think about Rich Swann going for a Rana. All it takes is the Rana to pop you up, switch you around, and you're right in the one-wing angel. So a lot of Rich Swann's offense can be countered right to the one-wing angel, which is scary.
Oh boy, Willie, too heavy. Kenny could get out of the way. Carl with the elbow.
Carl came in for the break up the tag, but Willie moved that way smartly. Double clothesline.
Here we go. This is what Willie Mack needs to make a tag. I would love to see him tag Rich Swann, because right now, Kenny Omega looks vulnerable. Omega crawling to the outstretched arm of Doc Gallows over the watchful shoulder of Don Callis. Kenny reaches, touched Eddie, but tagged Rich.
Oh,
here we go.
Is this the moment Rich Swann's been waiting for? Rich is isolating everybody. He's going in.
Yeah, look what Rich did. He made it even, Steven. Here we go. Kick to the shot. Back. Kenny with a kick. I'm sorry, Rich with a kick. Back. This is so quick. A prelude to what we'll see on April 25th.
My goodness, Swann.
No.
Swann is on fire right now. Swann is taking control of everybody. And now Swann has Kenny Omega in his hands.
So let's collect ourselves here. Rich Swann and his best friend Willie Mack working together. Tandem offense. Cover. No.
And look at the clean tags in and out. This is really boding well for a team of Swann and Eddie and Mack.
Oh gosh, nice Rana there. Omega looked like he landed hard on his shoulder.
He did.
Calls out the cavalry, and now the Good Brothers clear house.
It did look like Omega landed a little awkwardly there. He's getting up kind of slowly. But now we're going into the triple offense of these guys, and they know it. They do it so well.
A little known fact is Kenny Omega was once the never openweight 6-man tag team champion, a part of it in Japan. Now a callback to moves that they've done in the Tokyo Dome. Will it work here? No.
Oh, good save by Swann, because that Eddie Edwards looking in bad shape right there.
It is still Kenny Omega and Eddie Edwards legal in the ring. Here we go. Oh my gosh, Kenny is a master troll. That is called Blue Impact, and Kenny knows it. No.
Kenny Omega is give the devil his due. He can flat out wrestle. Okay, looks like Kenny's going up for the kill shot. He's ready to go. He's coming in. No, snap German.
Carl Anderson in.
Oh, wow.
Euro cut sends Eddie down. Rich Swann in. Pinwheel kick sends Carl down. Jumping push kick by Big Doc Gallows. Willie in, and Doc is down. Willie last man standing until that.
That was a V trigger right there, and Omega puts Willie Mack right down. And now Omega standing tall, calling in the Good Brothers. What the?
Again, callbacks to moves they used in Japan. Why not go with what works?
A three-man splash.
No!
Oh, Swann up the top. Now everybody's down. Everybody is down. What's gonna happen next?
What happens next could dictate what happens on April 25th. Don Callis starting to shout instructions to Kenny Omega. Don will be ringside at Rebellion. Is that the advantage? And is that the thing that Rich will not be able to overcome?
There it is. Eddie made that tag to Rich, and he's got Kenny Omega 1 for 1. And this is the moment Rich Swann has been waiting for.
Nope.
Oh, wow!
Just like that. So quickly it can happen. And here we go. Set up for the one-winged angel.
He's going.
Will we see it here? Rich kicking, slips out the back. Rich has shown that he can get out of the one-winged angel. That's what I take away from that exchange.
Yeah, that's a moment. Here we go. Swann, 450.
Cover. Two.
Oh, Don Callis. Don just saved Kenny Omega.
Rich just had Kenny beat, and Don Callis screwed him and Impact. Put to bed any doubt as to where Don stands. Rich Swann has shown that he can slip out of the one-winged angel. Rich Swann has shown with the 450 that he may be able to defeat Kenny Omega.
No.
There's a blind tag made by Carl Anderson. And look how frustrated Anderson is. I think everyone realizes that they can't take advantage of the distractions that Don Callis is trying to run. Magic Killer,
no. Eddie makes the save of the Magic Killer, and that would have been it right there. But did you feel the wind come out of this building when Don Callis made that save? Oh,
see,
springboard.
A nice injection there by Rich Swann. Knee party, let the revolution begin.
Oh, look at Swann, he's going up. This looks like it'd be the Phoenix Splash, and it is. Got the cover.
1, 2, he got him.
And that's it.
Here are your winners, Willie Mack, Eddie Edwards, and the Impact World Champion, Rich Swann.
It was the Boston knee party of Eddie Edwards that started the end. And D'Lo, what I take from this main event, several things. One, Rich Swann can escape the setup for Kenny Omega's one-winged angel. Secondly, Rich Swann is seemingly immune to Don Callis' mind games. And lastly, Rich Swann is ready for April 25th, Rebellion.
The one thing I take away from this is Kenny Omega has not unlocked his eyes. He's staring right at Rich Swann. That to me says maybe Kenny Omega is worried. Maybe Kenny Omega fears what Rich Swann can do. And yes, you saw Rich Swann get out of the one-wing angel, and that is an important thing to remember.
Rich Swann didn't just slip the one-wing angel. Rich Swann had Kenny Omega pinned, and if it wasn't for Don Callis, Rich would have had a 3 count on the All Elite Wrestling Champion. I expect an emboldened and dangerous Rich Swann heading into Hardcore Justice Saturday afternoon. Then I expect the man that will lead the charge